had confidence issues?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think as a performer, you're quite vulnerable anyway. And I mean, just as a human being, you're vulnerable, aren't you? And I think sometimes as a performer, you're really putting yourself out there to be ridiculed and judged. And so that can be hard. And I think probably my time from kind of the crossover period between the Spice Girls and becoming a solo artist, that was like around 1999, so that's an eternity ago, till about 2001. I had quite a few personal problems, and I was diagnosed with depression, and I had counselling over that time, and I had terrible confidence issues, and it was a really difficult time for me because I'd been dealing with an eating disorder, and I'd put on a bit of weight over that time, and the British tabloid media really ridiculed me for that, and they, and all these things stick in your head. They call me sumo spice, really cool, like playground kind of teasing, and I was quite open about my problems, but it didn't deter them. They were still, questioning my sexuality and commenting on my appearance and everything. So that was really, really difficult to deal with because I was already really vulnerable and really struggling, and I didn't need the British media to be kind of just picking on me as well. So that was a really, really difficult time. But I think, when you have something like that happen in your life, and it was kind of like a rock bottom moment for me, really. I was struggling with anxiety, and I was taking antidepressants as well as anti-anxiety medication, and there were days when I just couldn't leave the house. And there was one time I remember there was a lot of paparazzi outside the house, and they followed me in my car, and I learned a lot from this experience, but I was trying to get away from them, and I couldn't get away from them, and I ended up actually, it wasn't a big accident, but I just ended up clipping somebody's car, and I just thought, why am I letting these people do this to me? So kind of from that day, I just thought, it's really difficult in the heat of the moment. Sometimes we really react to situations, but it just taught me to just be, just be calmer about things and try not to fly off the handle.
How did you get out of this? Like, what helped you to get back to your normal self and actually feel confident?
I think there was just a part of me that was kind of a little bit defiant and just thought, I'm sure fuck this. Do you know what I mean? It's like there was days when I doubted that, and it was hard to get out of bed, and I just I never had thoughts of wanting to end it, but I definitely had nights when I'd rather not have woken up, but I suppose I just took it a day at a time, and my first port of call was my GP, and that's when he put me on antidepressants, and then I had counselling and stuff like that, and I just thought, it was a huge relief for it to be given a name as well, because I just thought I was going mad, and it's funny because like mental illness is something that is still, it's a bit of a taboo in this country, but probably in the Western world, which is a big shame. But I just felt really relieved that there was something that could be treated, and that kind of gave me that hope to, and I knew it was going to be a long journey. And I discovered some acupuncture about 15 years ago, and it's been the thing that I've continued to do throughout, and I maybe only have it once every couple of months now. But the guy who's my acupuncturist is brilliant, and he's a counsellor as well, and we used to talk a lot, which really helped. But he said to me, look, it took you a long time to get this in, and it's probably going to take you as long to get better, and I just kept that in my mind, and it was just like, good days and bad days, and it got to a point where the bad days were further apart. So I think it was just kind of like at first it was a really kind of a weak determination, but as time went on, that determination it gathered pace, and then at the end of it was, and I still have down days, and still have confidence crises at times, but I think that fire in my belly is just stronger than it used to be.
In terms of like sport, how important do you think sport is in like building people's confidence?
Sport for me is a really important part of staying healthy, both mentally as well as physically. Maybe it's my new addiction, maybe endorphins is the thing, but I think the thing that I've found, especially in the last couple of years because I've started competing again and meeting like-minded people, and I think that you forget how sociable sport can be. And I think now in the UK, like with our lives, I think a lot of people are lonely, you know, and a lot of us kind of keep our problems to ourselves, and like, I don't know, it's just weird. I've just found that for me, because you know, like when you're feeling like shit and you're really, really down, you don't want to bother people with problems, and when you're isolated, the tiniest little thing in your head becomes huge. And I just think when you're with friends and you're with people, you just kind of see the wood for the trees, and everybody feels the same. Everybody is self-conscious and has things they dislike about themselves, and just to kind of have that, you know, as human beings, I think we need people and we need contact, and that was like a really important thing for me to kind of reach out to have friends, and I've made great friends doing sport, and it's a really healthy thing to do, because I love going out with my mates and having a drink, but then, you know, after a few drinks the next day I feel a bit down. But if I go out and I go running with a friend, and then I feel great after it, you know, but it's a sociable thing, but it makes me feel good. So there's kind of no negative repercussions from using sport as a social element. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, obviously physically it affects you. So if you're fit and you feel good about yourself, it's good for your self-esteem.
Yeah.
So I'm sport all the way for me. Definitely. It's the key.
You do a lot of like fundraising as well.
Great. Yeah.
How do you think, is that helping kind of maybe other people saying, I might take up this sport, or they feel, oh, at least I've donated because I might not be able to do it?
I think things like that are so positive, and I shied away from a lot of competitive events for a long time because the race days are so scary, and you know, and you just, and I think I had a bad experience with the 5k, and it was hideous, and it put me off doing it, and then I kind of got my confidence back and just remembered how brilliant it is, and I think so many people benefit from those days. You know, the people who are taking part in such a great achievement, and then most people are fundraising, so there's a lot of, you know, great causes that are helped, and then like you say, people who are donating, they feel good about themselves. And also I think with Twitter now, it's quite nice because you just get a kind of feel for what's going on out there, and I get some really lovely tweets. I get some really lovely tweets from people who have been inspired, you know, by me doing my sporting endeavours, and are signing up to do a 5k or a 10k or a triathlon, and you know, that's really, really amazing. It's really flattering to have that, and it feels great. You know, there's so many problems in this country and all over the world, and one of the problems we have is obesity, and you know, we become more sedentary, and life just becomes easier because we have so many gadgets and things to make it so. But I think that, you know, being active, being sporty, is such a positive thing that I'm really happy to encourage people to do.
Anything like you regret doing music for a while?
Yeah, I do have some regrets actually, and it's funny, isn't it? I think it's like in all areas of life, you have to compromise at times, and I think there's been times when, mainly when I've been signed to labels, when you know, it's hard because you kind of have to toe the line a little bit if somebody else is paying for your record, and there's maybe been like some song choices that I've got on albums or some single choices that I kind of didn't want to do, but sometimes, you know, and we all have this in life, when you think people know better than you, and I think one of the things that I have learned, and I kind of try to stick by now as much as I can, is to trust your own instincts, and if you don't want to do it, then just don't do it. And I think if you're going to make a mistake in your career, let it be your mistake and not somebody else's. You know, that's kind of the biggest thing I've learned, because, you know, if something goes wrong, it goes wrong, that's life. But if you didn't think it was the right thing to do and somebody else made that decision for you, that's really frustrating. You know what I mean?
So, do you know when you said you felt a bit down at points, have you related to music in that sort of way as well? Like, has it helped you through it?
Music's really, I mean, it's a huge part of life. Most people say, I mean, some weirdos who don't like music, or they are. But yeah, I mean, for me, you know, growing up, it's kind of, you know, soundtrack to your life, isn't it? And you have things that makes you reminisce, or you have things that make you feel good, or things that you kind of, you know, we all want to feel, you know, wallow in self-pity at times, and there's music you can do that to. So yeah, absolutely, and I think it's funny, you know, knowing a few other like artists and songwriters, if you have a shitty bit of your personal life, like a breakup or something goes wrong, and you just think, well, I'll get a good song out of it. You know, because I think the kind of the saddest emotions are often the most inspiring. You know, when you're happy, you just have a good time. So you can't really bother trying something.
And with like women's image, like sport or music, how important do you think it is to women still support?
Yeah, you know, it's a really interesting one because it's changed so much since I've had a career in music, and I think when us girls started, we really come up against it straight away, and that's kind of where the whole girl power thing came from, because we were just, you know, told in a few different meetings that, you know, girl bands don't sell, and you know, it's only boy bands that sell records and magazines, and we were like, fuck that, you know. And it was great because we were all so single-minded, and we all had that collective feeling that we wanted to show the world that was bollocks. And you know, the music industry is still, and I'm sure in many sports as well, is male dominated, and you only have to look at football, you know, men's and women's football, you know, it's absolutely worlds apart in pay and profile and support and everything. And you know, our music's pretty similar really. I think it's been cool in the last few years because some of the world's most successful artists have been women. You know, like Beyonce and Pink, and we've got Adele over here who's doing brilliant things, Emily Sunday. So that's been a real big thing for women. But still behind the scenes, most of the songwriters I work with are men. My band are all men. You know, most of the producers I work with are guys. And yeah, it's still something. I think probably another company you'll find that the MDs of other companies and the head of whether it be marketing or A&R and everything, most of them which, you know, you get to a point where it goes, well, you know, it doesn't matter whoever's best for the job, it's male or female, but it's kind of still, the balance is still askew. But then I think as well, on the other side, kind of on the kind of cultural side of things, being a mum now and having a little girl, you know, I've become very aware of how women are portrayed in music and in the media. And, you know, I think was it like in the 60s and there was kind of this sexual freedom and everything, and it all really, really changed. But then when you look at the 90s with the Spice Girls, it's really funny because we were often accused of being too provocative and we had very young fans. But when you look at what we did and you look at what Rihanna does, it's like, okay, things have really moved on. And yeah, sometimes I think when you look at Miley Cyrus at the moment and kind of how sexual she is and her images are and her performances are, you just think, well, I do think that girls are much more sexually aware and probably more sexually confident in many ways, but is it good? I don't know whether it's a good thing, you know. And there's a lot of people talking about how porn is affecting young people, and I think that's quite a scary thing as well. And I think when it comes to self-esteem and both for men and women, you know, how people look in porn and how sex looks in porn is not how it is. As far as I know. What do I know? But yeah, I think it's like it's something that has to be addressed. I think because it's not healthy. I don't think there's enough healthy, positive role models out there for young women and probably young guys as well.
So, obviously you're a role model for many, but who do you think was like the biggest role model for you? Who do you look up? Like, did you and now?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, my absolute idol was, you know, probably one of the first artists to be really provocative sexually, and that's Madonna. So, yeah, I was always a massive fan of Madonna, and I think it was more her, just kind of her creativity and her determination and how hard she worked. Not so much writing about teaching myself. That inspired me. But now, yeah, I don't know, now it's quite weird. I suppose I look at older artists, I don't want to be patronising, but, you know, someone like Annie Lennox, I think she's, you know, she does wonderful things, you know, she's so, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, conscious, she has such a good conscience when it comes to like world issues and her, you know, the problems that are close to her heart. And she's an incredible artist and she's never lost her dignity, you know, so something like that.
You have met them?
Yeah, I've met them both. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know, being with the Spice Girls, we got to meet so many of our heroes, which was amazing. And you know, you soon learn that people are just people, but there are some people who have done incredible things in their lives.
Would you say musically is your like best memory that you
My best musical memory, you mean from my personal career?
both?
Oh yeah, anything. Do you know what? I think I'm in a time in my career now where I don't really have chart hits. You know, it's kind of it's such a fickle industry. It's difficult as you get older. And I'm lucky that, you know, in the 90s I did have so many hits with the girls, and at the beginning of my solo career I did have, you know, quite a lot of chart success. But now I get to do so many things that I love, touring with this show, for example. And when I finish on this, I go and tour with Jules Holland. And to me, that's kind of like, I feel like it's an acceptance into British music royalty. You know, to tour with somebody who's so well respected, and for him to want me to be singing with his band. And I just feel really proud of this time in my career, because I had all the success of the Spice Girls, and I've ridden the storm of people being very judgmental about being a pop act and not having anything else. And then I've kind of been successful in theatre and had respect for that, and you know, and my music career is continuing, and it's at a much different level. It's a very different profile that I have, but I'm still working and I'm doing the thing I love, and I'm getting some respect for it finally. So probably now.
What sort of tips would you give someone that wants to get into the industry? Like,
well, I would say it's a tough one. It's a really tough one to get into.
Yeah.
I mean, especially as an artist, I think more than anything. But you know, I think anybody who wants to work in music, if that is your passion, then you're halfway there, because if you're doing something you love, I mean, there's actually probably, I'd love to know what the statistics are of people who hate their job or just do their job to get paid to pay the bills, you know. But if you work in music and you love music, and it might be hard and you have your ups and downs, but it's like it's like your hobby, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if your hobby can pay your bills, then that's
the best
pretty
thing
cool.
ever.
Yeah. So yeah, it's keep on keeping on, really.
Just push hard.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
What's your favourite part? Like, what do you prefer most? Are you more of a, do you enjoy the touring bit? Do you like the music, or do you prefer recording?
Do you know what's so brilliant about the career that I've had is that it's ever changing, so you never get bored. And I mean, my ultimate is being on stage. The actual performances is my first love. But you know, along with that often comes homesickness and tiredness, and yeah. So you can be out on the road having a wonderful time on stage, but you get sick of hotels, and you get sick of being away from home. So then you crave to be at home, and you go home and hopefully write a new record, and then you're sick of being in the studio, and then, so it's nice. It just keeps moving.
Sorry for asking. Obviously being a mum, how hard is it to like fit everything in? Because if you're like working really hard to get where you want to be with your career, then at some point you have to make the decision of, do I want family, or do I want to continue getting better while doing this job?
Do you know what? It's what I found is, with life, you just don't know what's going to happen, you know, and you can make all these plans, and they can just change. So I think you've just got to do what feels right for you at that time in your life, and you know, I feel really, really blessed that I've got a child, and it is really hard, and sometimes I feel like the worst mum in the world, and I think working in this industry, you have to grab every opportunity you can, and sometimes I feel like the balance of my being a mum and my home life and my work life are really out of kilter, and that's hard, really. So yeah, I suppose it's different for everyone. You know, when I had my little girl, my career just stopped, because I just thought, I don't know how I'm going to feel. But then 6 months into being a mum, I just started thinking, I want to do something. And then that's when I did my first theatre role, and it was in the West End, and I live in London, so I was at home and I was with her all day and working in the evenings, and that was perfect. And then I really missed my music and my solo work, so I went into that. And I think the most important thing as a parent, you know, to be a good parent, is you have to be happy, because a happy parent is a good parent, hopefully. And you know, so for me, I have to pursue my career, because that's what makes me happy, and that's what makes me a good mum, because I'm happy in my life, in my work life, and then I can go home and be a great mum to Scarlett, and hopefully a great role model as well, you know, and give her a good work ethic, because she's growing up in a really different environment to the one I grew up in. So I want her to really value things and to really have to work hard for stuff.
In like the music industry and sports, is there anybody that you think like is a really good role model for like young people, like for your daughters?
Yeah, well, I think the Olympics last year was a great thing, because, you know, we, for the first time probably, we really celebrated our athletes and we made stars of our athletes. And one of the things that really bugs me of, you know, the time that we live in is that celebrities become, you know, such an easy thing to become. You know, people are celebrities because of their lives and you know, of the reality TV stuff that there is. And I just think you know, for us to really celebrate the athletes that work so hard, sometimes for quite little rewards, it was a really great thing and a really positive thing for kids, because I'd much rather my little girl be inspired by Jessica Ennis than, you know, I don't want to name any names, but, you know, somebody who says every part of their private life in a tabloid magazine.
How good was it to perform at the Olympics?
Amazing. It was the best thing ever. It was, I think, probably by far the best things the Spice Girls ever did. We absolutely loved it, and I think it was so brilliant because it was such a great year for Great Britain, and we were so excited, and with Twitter, we could see how excited people were to see us, so we just felt really proud that we were there, and it was like we were actually performing for our country as well. So I wanted to get, you know, the Olympic rings tattoo, which only Olympians get, and I thought, well, I did the Olympics, what's there? I want one. But no, it was a really, really special night. Yes.
Is everyone all done? Yeah?
Yeah?
Are you sure? Would you like some pictures?
Yes, please.